this thing that bothers me the most, and we talk about this all the time. Carbs are not bad for you. They are not bad for you. Do people overeat them? Absolutely. Do people abuse them? Absolutely. Do people have trouble knowing what a carb is? Absolutely. So it's like, we did this. All right. If you all could have been a fly on the wall into this office, into where we shoot the podcast, I just spent 10 minutes trying to get a fly out of the office who's driving me absolutely insane. I actually let it out. I opened the door and eventually it went out. But I was ready to kill it with this book. And the book by Sarah Knight, Calm the Fuck Down. I was willing to kill it with this book titled Calm the Fuck Down. I thought that was great. All right. So what a great weekend it has been. I got to hang out by the pool, relax a little bit. It felt good. My friend's pool, not my pool, because I do not own a pool. So it was definitely a good time. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I did want to talk about something really important and something that I talk about till I'm blue in the face here, I'll be honest. I know, breaking another rule, drinking while on the mic. So, drinking water. I'm just saying nobody likes to, when I drink, I'm not like drinking alcohol, which I wish. But it is Monday. What type of mess would I be if I was doing that? So, I wanted to talk about something. It's something that my staff, my company, we talk an awful lot about, and I think you can't not talk about it. It is food. So it seems to be a interesting and ever-changing topic with a lot of people, and a lot of people who, just can't seem to get a good grasp on food, get a good grasp on the things that you need to do as far as coming to food if you're or getting yourself organized with food, I would say. And so I definitely wanted to talk about it in some things that, in some experiences that I've had over this past 10 years that I've been involved in the health and wellness and fitness industry. So I have tried every single diet there is. I've gone vegan, I've gone vegetarian, I've done pescatarian, I've done keto style diet, high fat, paleo, you name it. I've done it, and I've done it on purpose. So what I said that I wanted to do with my career as I kind of progressed is I wanted to not just be able to deliver information in which it was just something I read out of a book. I wanted to experience it for myself. So, for me, I always just looked at nutrition as, or looked at food as an opportunity, to try different things. I still take that type of mentality today. Like, I'll try pretty much anything. And, there's some exceptions, but I pretty much will try just about anything. And I'll, if somebody cooks something and I've never had it, I want to try it. And just to say that I've tried it, or that I don't like it or do like it. So I try to take that approach with a lot of those type of dieting approaches. And what I've found over a period of 10 years, and have come full circle back into it, and that is, I've come full circle into realizing that a balanced approach, a sustainable approach, is the only way if you're going to really talk long-term life success. And I'm not saying that you can't change. I'm not saying that you can't change the foods and change your lifestyle. And it's actually the only way that you can do it. is changing yourself before you try foods and use it for strength or performance or your weight loss journey. So I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit more than we have in the past. So what seems to be this trend is that people get on a diet, they lose weight, and then they gain the weight back. That's a really shitty cycle, because you're constantly in this struggle with losing weight and trying to better yourself. And I'm all for that. Self-improvement is really important. But I also think that education and self-awareness is going to play a huge part into this. So with that being said, I think it's important to know a little bit about food and a little bit about your nutrition, and what you need and what you require, or what you need for your own life. So I think that you have to kind of find that out on your own, but there's some things that we can talk about that are definitely things that we know. So regardless, and you can take this to the bank, overeating is always going to be an issue. So if it's calories in, calories out, which means if you're, if you're consuming calories and you're not burning enough calories, you're going to gain weight. It's just something that we know to be true. We definitely know that's something we don't need to dispute. And I understand and I get that there'll be people trying to sell you things and there'll be people trying to do things. But I'm sorry to tell you, you don't want to be sold. And if you don't want to be a follower or somebody trying to really get into a quick fix, I would say stick to that. It's the simplest, easiest. It's free advice. Take it. And so with that being said, if overeating is the problem, I think that it's something that you can easily change by not overeating. So what we do here and what we practice here is I always tell people to download an app. We've talked about it in other podcasts. We've talked about it a zillion times. And I'll say easiest one. I mean, we can go through this giant list of apps that you can download. But, listen, if you really want me to just cut the shit and just tell you, listen, download MyFitnessPal. It's free. You can count your calories if you want to upgrade it and end up counting your macros, which we'll get in, so with foods, better understanding of the foods and what you're eating. But if you want to just count your calories, you can. I promise you it'll be helpful. Make sure that you're following it and you're not overeating. If you do that, you'll see results. It's very, very important that you know that if you overeat all the time, you will gain weight. If you are eating a proper and sufficient amount of calories and a little bit under, you can lose weight. If you want to maintain, you find that sweet spot and you stay in a maintenance weight, which you can do as well. So it really is, unfortunately, that simple. But unfortunately, with everything that kind of people twist things up, and I've experienced in the past, and even experienced in myself, when I was doing the keto style diet or a high fat diet, and I did that for about almost 2 years, and I saw great results. I started doing it because I wanted the cognitive function, and I wanted to, help inflammation of my knees and things like that, and so it definitely has helped in that sense. But it's amazing in how you start to develop your own prejudice against food when you start, even when I know that I'm doing this. Like I started to oh, that's a carb, I can't have. And after a while, you're like, it's a carb, I can't have that. I did start to get that way. And it's because I was following a very restrictive diet. And I get and understand that it's very helpful for a lot of people. But I think a lot of people need to understand what food actually is, what it's comprised of, as far as with proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, So you get into those fad diets, and if you can't do those fad diets for 3 to 5 years, do not do them. Some people do different sort of diets for medical reasons, and that I am not talking to you. I'm talking about the rest of everybody, the people that, just listen. If you're overeating, you need to know, and I think that it's very helpful, and it's very helpful to not put this terrible stigma on food and to label and demonize food. I think that's very dangerous, and it can lead to a lot of different eating disorders and conditions and these sort of prejudices you'll have against food. It's like you'll like hate bread, and you're like, you blame bread, and bread is delicious. It's so good. I mean, is it the best for a lot of people? I would say no, because people, once again, you overeat it and you demonize it, and then you blame the bread when it was really just a little bit of more of a discipline problem. I love bread. I definitely limit the amounts that I have, because if, one slice or two slices can, the carbs kind of pile up. So you find a lower carb bread, or you do something like that, which you can do. But it depends on, what mood I'm in. If I want to get my carbs from bread, but it's going to be very quick, and then I'll probably be hungry later. So I don't usually do that. But so here's the thing, with protein, people talk about protein all the time with any sort of diet. It seems to be the kind of the same message, as you need to make sure you have your protein. Doesn't matter what diet you're in, protein in synthesis and make synthesis seems to stay the same. So the thing is like, eat your protein. It's like, we know that, protein's going to help your muscles recover, and it's going to make them feel better. And it also, helps you with a little bit of aesthetics as far as healing the muscles, which is great. So we know, what to do with that, and what that equation is. And I'm not going to get super nerdy and get into equations. So the other thing, though, this thing that bothers me the most, and, we talk about this all the time. Carbs are not bad for you. They are not bad for you. Do people overeat them? Absolutely. Do people abuse them? Absolutely. Do people have trouble knowing what a carb is? Absolutely. So it's like, we did this. It's important to have that, to reflect and go, okay, it was my fault. It's like, I was uneducated, didn't understand, and I've been abusing this for quite some time. And so now when you can get a good hone on and a better experience and better education towards food, you start to realize, what you're doing to yourself. So the other thing is, as far as with fats don't make you fat. Fat is fat. So it's like, that's not true either, which is another thing. So it's like, overeating is what will help, what will cause you to gain weight. And I just kind of want to throw those things out there, because there's something to it that people start to put magic properties on food, like that we start sprinkling our little magics on food. It's the same type of person that says, oh, I can't drink that type of alcohol. Well, why can't you? Well, because you got blackout drunk with it, and you overdrank it. Now all of a sudden that Jägermeister has, magical properties that'll make you puke, when really it was just that you had a gallon of it. And of course you would have puked of any sort of alcohol, but then you demonize the alcohol, not your behavior on drinking the alcohol. So it's like, we all do it. All my buddies and all my friends have a story with alcohol. Oh, I can't have Goldschlager. Can't do that anymore. It's like, well, maybe you should have controlled yourself and stopped being an idiot. Or you were just 21, young, and drank a gallon of it, and that's what happens. Of course, you're going to throw up. So you have all these things that you attach to your behavior, and I think that's important to be able to decipher through the bullshit. And by the way, mine is Jägermeister. I can't even just smell it. It's so bad. But some people love it. I cannot. It would just make me sick. So anyway, it's the same thing, and this is what I also talk about. If you can't hold a sustainable eating, program for yourself, or just kind of set aside stuff that to do, and that comes with education, and it's the same thing. So if you educate yourself properly, you can have a better relationship with food, and and I was trying to talk to my friend about it, and I said, well, if you can't do it in 3 to 5 years, I'm like, if you can't do that, then you need to stop right now, and you need to reassess what you're doing and think about it. And she goes, well, I like it. Do you like it? Because you're binging every weekend, and you're drinking every weekend. You're eating all these high-calorie foods, and then you're blaming it on the high-calorie foods, not your behavior. So it's like, what we have is a behavioral issue. What we have is a discipline issue, and not motivation. We have a discipline issue here. Motivation is very, very troubling, because it comes and goes, but discipline always stays, because you have a better hone on yourself and what you need to discipline yourself for. So with that being said, it's, we can get into like if you learned Spanish, you took Spanish for a year or two, and you just stopped speaking Spanish, and you were like, I learned it, and then you did it, and you hadn't spoken it or done anything, you're going to be pretty rusty, or you're just not going to be able to speak it because you didn't practice it. And then you're going to go, oh, I used to speak Spanish. I used to. How useful is that? You used to know something, because there's only so much you have in your brain. But what you can do is you can teach yourself and practice every day how to clean up your eating and how your relationship with food is. So really, listen, it's so important to know that you should have love for food. You really should, but it comes with a great responsibility, and we've seen it in America. We've seen it for quite some time, as far as with, just the amount of obese people that we have in America. And I think that we have a responsibility, as a great country, and I will say that in with full confidence, because there's other countries that people don't have a lot of food, and people don't have the opportunity and foods that we have in the United States. So it's like we have a responsibility with taking care of our health when we have the opportunity to do so. So the thing is don't demonize the food, really. I mean, every once in a while, going to Chick-fil-A or going to McDonald's or something, it's like you can't just blame them. You have to start really looking inwards and going, okay, yeah, some of those examples are high caloric density foods. But what I'm saying is if you ate that, once again, going back to the 80-20 rule, if you did that every once in a while, it shouldn't be what's putting you over the edge. Daily overeating and misbehavior and lack of discipline is what will put you over the edge and have you gain that 3 to 5 pounds I think Americans gain each year. And they wonder where it comes from. And it comes from, we can talk about, why, but if we talked about just getting right down to it, it'd be overeating. So in some capacity, you're overeating. So I think we have a responsibility to change that. And that's why I wanted to talk about that today. So, with all that, all the things that you now know, you now can kind of help yourself find somebody who's going to be able to help you too, kind of guide you through that. Every time I try to learn a skill, I go to a professional every single time. And I know this kind of sounds like I'm going to go full circle and say that you should hire me, or hire my company. And to be honest with you, I don't give a shit if you did or didn't. I just care about your health. And that's also another thing that seems to be like, I love what I do for a career, what I've chosen, and I absolutely love all of our clients, and I love being able to do this message, all the things, and I think I have a responsibility to do so. But I also feel like I need to give credit where credit is due. There's so many people that you can learn from that are professionals. There's so many people that know so much more than me, so much more than, and there's people that know so much more than them. So it's like we can go to a professional with just about everything, and I have. I mean, when I wanted to learn, when I wanted to learn how to box, I went right to an amateur league boxing place. When I wanted to learn how to lift, and when I wanted to do this, we went right to a gym, talked to a trainer who was decent, and then eventually I got really into it, and I went to school for it. And it's like I learned. When I said that I was going to, what did I say? I said that I was going to read a lot more. Like I was like, all right, I'm going to read. So I set a goal for myself. So set goals for yourself, especially with food. It's going to be something you do a lot. Everybody needs to eat. So it's like you're going to do that. So definitely learn a little bit more about food so you can help it with your lifestyle. So the thing is just remember this. If you're overeating, stop. And then you can either track your food, or what you can do is try to take a better look at what you're eating too. But just know, if you take a better look at what you're eating and you switch to a whole foods like diet, like you see a lot of these, big, type of whole food, people really pushing whole foods, which I think is great. It's actually a diet that I kind of do myself, but I still track it. Like I still track my food, even though I'm eating a whole foods diet. Which pretty much what that means is just that you're eating, apples, bananas. You're not eating a lot of products. You're not eating a lot of foods that come in packages and things like that. Steak, rice, vegetables, those things. And I know it sounds like, why wouldn't you want to eat any of those things? Well, I mean, we're all human. We all like pizza, and we like hamburgers, and we like things like that. So you can still eat those things. It's just you got to know where they're coming from and know what they are. So it's important to do that too. So if you are eating those whole food diets, just know you could still get fat. You still can get overweight with overeating those things. And I know because even when I do a surplus diet, when I try to bulk up, and I'm eating whole foods because I enjoy it. I really do. And I get made fun of all the time around here for it. Like, oh, are you going to eat some dates and some raw cheddar cheese? And it's like, yeah, I like that shit. I'm sorry. I enjoy it. But so it's like, you still could get fat doing those things. You still can gain weight. You still can, and I do. When I put myself in a caloric surplus, I'm still getting it from whole foods. I'm just eating more of them. So listen, with that being said, I think we should end it on don't overeat. That's the message here. Carbs aren't bad for you. Fat's not fat. Fat didn't make you fat. And every diet has the get enough protein in it. Everyone has that message. So make sure you take care of yourself. And by taking better care of yourself, it's educating yourself and getting closer to the subject. The further you get away from the subject and ignore it, the worse off you are. So make sure, if you need to, go to a professional. Doesn't have to be me. And I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just pushing what I know to be true in this 10 years of experience that I've done through the health and wellness industry and the fitness industry. Listen, go to a professional. Go to a nutritionist. Go do what you need to do so you can learn how to do it and do it long term to help yourself. I'm out of here. Listen, I will see all you cats next week. Actually, you all will see me next week. I'm not really seeing you. You're seeing me. Okay, I'm done. All right, bye.
Live Sculpted.